If you look at the European map, you will notice this tiny strip of land sandwiched between Poland and Lithuania. That is Kaliningrad Oblast, and it is part of the Russian Federation. But you notice that it isn't connected to the Russian mainland. So why? Why is Kaliningrad part of Russia despite not being attached to the rest of the country? Before we discuss the history of this tiny piece of land, this semi-exclave is the westernmost federal subject of the Russian Federation. It is situated at the Baltic coast, centered around the city of Kaliningrad, formerly known as Königsberg. It has a population of almost 1 billion people, most of which are Russian. Despite its size, it is one of the most strategic Russian territories, as it hosts the country's only ice-free European port in the Baltic Sea. It also hosts the Russian Baltic Fleet, and it is located along the narrow Suwalki Gap, which connects Poland and the Baltic states, both NATO members. Strategically, it is very important to Russian interests. Now let's jump on its history. First of all, the territory of what is now Kaliningrad Oblast was not Russian for a very long while. It had a very long history, sometimes glorious and sometimes devastating. Before and during the Middle Ages, the land was populated by Old Prussians and other Baltic tribes. Eventually, the Germans settled the area. During the times when crusading was cool, some crusaders, known as the Teutonic Order, conquered and Christianized the region. However, during the Battle of Grunwald, the Teutonic Order was crushed by the Polish and Lithuanian armies, but the region was never fully absorbed by either state. By 1525, Grand Master Albert established the Duchy of Prussia within the region, which was a vassal to the Polish king. Eventually, it merged with Brandenburg. During the 7 Years' War, the Russian Empire occupied the region. Do you think the Russians will keep it and make it Kaliningrad? Well, they annexed it into their empire, but obviously they did not name it Kaliningrad. The new Russian Tsar, Peter III, Duke of Holstein-Gottorp, decided to return it to Prussia in 1762 to establish an alliance with the latter, which turned the tides of the conflict. The region was reorganized as the province of East Prussia within the Kingdom of Prussia, and after having endured the Napoleonic fiasco and defeated many rivals, it became a dominant force within the German Empire. While not the seat of the capital, East Prussia was an important center of German culture and the birthplace of its ruling dynasty. It should be obvious now that much of the history of the Kaliningrad Oblast was centered around German, specifically Prussian culture and statehood. Not all is German though. A sizable part of East Prussia was populated by Poles, Lithuanians, Latvians, and Jews. This became more evident when Prussia expanded its territory. World War I happened, and we all know Germany lost. Prussia remained, but is now a free state within the Weimar Republic and stripped of its royalty and a sizable chunk of its territory to Poland and Lithuania. East Prussia is now disconnected from the German heartland, which a certain mustache guy wanted to bridge once he took over. But before he did it, it was ruled by Otto Braun of the Social Democratic Party, in which he ruled from 1920 until 1932, when Franz von Papen staged a coup d'etat against the Prussian state government, only to be replaced by that mustachy guy a year later. World War II happened. Sticking with tradition, Germany lost again, but this time they got completely devastated. The Soviets captured East Prussia and eventually Berlin. By early 1945, the Soviets had captured much of East Prussia, with most of its population fleeing west deep into Germany, mostly by sea. By the Potsdam Agreement, Königsberg is to be annexed into the Soviet Union. East Prussia was to be partitioned between the Russian Soviet Republic of the USSR, which gained the central part, including the city, Poland, which gained the southern bit, and Lithuania, which was also part of the Soviet Union but is a separate republic, which gained the northern bit. Königsberg was renamed Kaliningrad in 1946 in memory of Chairman of the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet of the USSR, Mikhail Kalinin. The remaining German population which stayed was forcibly expelled between 1947 and 1948, and it was settled mostly by Russians, and to a lesser extent, Belarusians and Ukrainians. The question is, why give to Russia despite not being connected to the Russian heartland? Well, first of all, its strategic location, especially for Soviet naval interests within the Baltic Sea. Stalin didn't trust the Poles nor the Lithuanians to have it, especially since Poland had been converted into a satellite state, while Lithuania had recently been incorporated into the USSR, and many of them aren't so keen on that. Also, the Allies, particularly Stalin, wanted to end Prussia as a whole and remove the militaristic aspects of Germany. And part of that plan is expelling Germans from East Prussia and converting it to a mainly Russian land. To be fair to him, he did get his aim. After Stalin died, the next leader, Nikita Khrushchev, offered Kaliningrad Oblast to the Lithuanian Soviet Socialist Republic, but their leadership, especially Antanas Nechkus, refused to do so, mainly because adding so many Russians into their territory will cause long-term issues. Looking at you, Crimea, Kaliningrad remained a part of the Russian Soviet Republic, and its status could change with the collapse of the Soviet Union. Both Lithuania and Poland are still not interested in it, especially that Kaliningrad is almost completely Russian demographically. Their priorities are more with gaining complete independence from Moscow. And finally, Germany. But unsurprisingly, Germany didn't want it for several reasons. First, Germany is focused on reunification with, well, East Germany. You know that Germany has been divided between West and East. Second, even their hardline nationalist groups are not interested in the territory. And lastly, it's completely Russian now, and there's no way of turning back to the good old Prussian days. It doesn't make sense for Germany to incorporate some land with so few Germans. Germany at that point is content with what they have, and they are no longer a militaristic state that Prussia once was. As a result, Russia gets to keep the Kaliningrad Oblast, and it remains an important part of Russia up to this day. Kaliningrad is part of Russia, and is very Russian till this day due to the reaps of Stalin's politicking after they have taken it from Germany. Can Kaliningrad become Königsberg again? Most likely not. While Kaliningrad may seem irrelevant when looking at the map firsthand, it is very important within Russian geopolitics. It remains a Russian pawn to NATO's presence in the Baltics, and keeping it secure and militarized makes NATO feel uncomfortable. But even if Kaliningrad is very much Russian now, you can still see some remnants of the Prussian culture in the territory, mostly reflected within its architecture. For all it's worth, Kaliningrad remains a part of Russia, and most likely it will continue to be so within the following years. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe for more country neighbors.